body. So come off your book, and we can pop that away now, and then come onto your hands and knees. So hands and knees, before we come onto hands and knees, hands nice and wide so we want the hands nice and wide. Now, if you're uncomfortable with your knees, if you have a mat, if you're not doing it on a mat, don't worry. If you have a blanket, something underneath your knees. If you're using a blanket, just make sure it's level and there's no ridges, because otherwise it can be a bit uncomfortable. If your wrists are a little bit sore, you can pop them on a blanket or the carpet, something nice. Open up nice and wide. Now, for those of us who spend a lot of time on computers, these parts may feel a little bit. So let's just pop those down. So knees are a little bit wide, about hip width. Arms are about hip width. We're just in hands and knees. So what we're going to do now is we're going to do a small cat movement. So we're going to curl under the tailbone. So just as we did in the first series bridge, we curl the tail. So we're going to start this movement from the pelvis, not from the lower back, because we're protecting the lower back. So what I'd like you to do first of all is gather up, pull in the belly, gather everything up and hang the head, really loosen the head, let go of the feet. And then I'd like you to lead in with your sit bones. So the sit bones are coming out and you're lengthening. Now you're lengthening this part of your spine. If you're a lady, you're lengthening around where your bra strap is. If you're a man, you're lengthening kind of just where the bottom of the rib cage is, and you're lengthening up from here. We shouldn't be feeling anything in the lower back. So we're going to curl under again, belly in. So it's quite strong in the belly. Belly in, head hangs, lift, lift, lift the belly, and then out we come. So the pelvis leads the movement, lower back stays fairly still, and we lean out through the upper spine. Now, generally the reason I'm doing this is because we're generally fairly flexible in the lower back. The lower back doesn't really need that much stretching. And you're breathing, so you might want to breathe in as you gather up and breathe out as you come down. And generally in yoga we breathe in through the nose, out through the nose, but if it helps, breathe in through the nose, out through the mouth. Or if you're a little bit congested, in through the mouth, out through the mouth. Whatever, as long as you're breathing, it doesn't matter. So a couple more of those in your own time, just curling into the spine and then out of the spine. And one more. And then out from the spine. Okay, very nice. Good. And then what I'd like you to do now is we're going to come back. We're going to take the knees about just a little bit wider than hips, and we're going to sit down and come into child's pose. Now, if this doesn't feel comfortable, good old cushion, lots of them. If the bum isn't coming back, pop the cushion under and then just come forward. If your head doesn't feel comfortable to touch the floor, bend your elbows, pop your head in, or if you want to come all the way down here and breathe here. So make it as comfortable as you can. You can also try it if it doesn't feel comfortable with the knees wide apart. You can bring the knees a little bit in together. So we're going to stay here in this nice restful pose for 8 breaths. And slowly come up and just give the toes a little bit of a slap here. We're going to do one last pose. So I'm just going to move this back. If you have socks on, I've got grippy socks on, but if you have socks that are slippy, you might just want to pop them off now. So this is our last pose. Again, if the hands and wrists don't feel comfortable, pop something under the hands and wrists, but make sure that it can grip the floor. So what we're going to do now is we're just going to come up into dog. So again, nice soft shoulders, toes tucked under, and what I'd like you to do is lift the buttocks back and keep the knees bent. So this is the first way that we get into dog. And just take a few breaths here. So dog should be comfortable, not stretched out. I'd rather that the spine was straight than I would the legs straight. And sometimes we can't do both. Some of us flexible enough to do that, but just if we're beginning, we start off, the knees are bent, and then if you want to, with your breathing, you slowly start to walk the feet. If you want something a little bit more dynamic, you can just walk the feet a little bit. Lovely, and you're going to do 8 breaths, walking the feet, and then you're going to come down, back into the child pose. Cushion if you need it behind you, cushion if you want to pop your head on it. And then we do 8 breaths here. And then slowly coming up, and we'll come back to how we started. You can use your cushion or your book, and we'll come back into seated, up nice and straight, closing the eyes, making sure the belly's breathing, letting go, just having a little shake everything out, and just coming back into the body, into the breathing. Well done. Thank you. So we've got 2 sessions, 1 and 2. We may do a few more if anyone wants them, and we're going to do a meditation as well. So if you're having trouble sleeping, or if you're finding your stress levels, the mindfulness meditation might be quite helpful for you. But lovely to practice with you, and take care of yourselves. Bye bye.